we're on the way to the center of Nairobi to meet Jodom, the co-founder of BITSACCO. SACCO is basically a community banking organization, and he is building one running on Bitcoin. And we're going to town now to meet him and to see how this is working. Okay, Jodom, you founded BITSACCO.
Yes.
Can you please explain what it is? Maybe you start what is a SACCO?
Yeah.
Because I have seen a lot of buses that are called SACCO.
Yeah, that's a very good observation. So SACCO is a model of banking where you have members come together. Essentially, they run a community bank. So this is the equivalent in different places in Africa and other places where the members of the bank themselves own the bank, compared to regular banks where you have shareholders and board and what have you. So that's a clear difference. Now you see SACCOs here, they are formed for a very specific perspective. The example you gave is buses. We call them matatu SACCOs, where matatus are like public transport. Members would come together and they'll have a mission, like we're going to buy a number of buses, we're going to operate them. That is our main business as a SACCO, right? BITSACCO is the same way, but the mandate, the mission of the SACCO, of the community bank, is to help the members of the community hold, access, and use Bitcoin.
SACCO has a long tradition here, doesn't it? Like also with regular money.
Yes. Let me give you the history of SACCOs, like from the get-go. Interestingly, this was a model that was invented in Germany.
Oh, really?
1978, yes. Around the time that e-cash is also being invented. But yes, so the model was invented for the reason that regular banks were charging high interest on credit, and they're like not giving good service to community because the incentive of the bank and the incentive of community were misaligned, right? So they formed this model where the community members can legally operate a bank of their own. So they have a lot of say in how the bank operates, yes. And now this is very ubiquitous in Africa. So in Kenya here, in Nairobi where we are, there's like all three levels of banking. There's regular banks, which I won't describe, but there's mobile money where you can actually, that is, it's mobile money, but it's as big as bank. In fact, even bigger than regular banks. Right in the middle, you can say like between these two tiers, there is SACCOs. Yeah, so yeah, that is a footprint here, and I think in other places in Africa. Yeah.
Now tell our viewers, please, how Bitcoin comes into the solution. I mean, let's hear from you. Why is Bitcoin important for Kenya, for Kenyan people?
Yeah, yes. It's an asset that has entered the market. People can access Bitcoin today, but it is really hard. Either you're going to need some solutions for you to move from Kenyan shillings to Bitcoin if you're trying to buy Bitcoin. At BITSACCO, we think giving access to Bitcoin through a very familiar banking model it should be an unlock, you know. We talk to users and they're like, oh, okay, I know what a SACCO is. I know how a SACCO operates. What is Bitcoin? And it's like, oh, it's a new form of money. It's a digital asset, right? And now you can access it through the trusted and safety mechanisms of a SACCO. Bitcoin is important in Kenya, just like it is important anywhere else in the world, because it gives you better security for your value. If you store it there, you know, you're like, you can trust that value compared to if you have fiat and you are like worried about inflation and other worries.
You have very high inflation here.
Absolutely.
How high is inflation?
It's over 17%. It's going to
17 or 17?
17%.
Yeah, but it's very high.
Compounding annually, yes. So you can expect it to be worse year on year. Yes, yeah, very high.
And so you're using the Fetti Mint protocol. Can you explain in an easy, understandable way what that is and what it does?
Yes. Well, the Fetti Mint protocol defines a way for a group of people to hold Bitcoin together. Even more, it's like just a subset of the group distribute the control of the Bitcoin, but they can then scale that control and move, like, you know, decision to, hey, we are going to move this. They scale it to a even larger community. Yes. So in the context that we're using Fetti Mint, we are saying, hey, we have the guardians. We have a few people, 5 or more, who can sign for the Bitcoin and who are trusted by the community. Now, on top of this, any other member of the community, any other member of the SACCO can move and have access to their Bitcoin.
Yes. Great. Yes. And then you basically issue e-cash tokens?
Yeah.
and people then use the eCash tokens to exchange Bitcoin with each other. But, yeah, but it's not really
Yes,
Bitcoin,
yes.
it's eCash, which has the advantage that it's
Yes.
fully private, right?
Yeah. So we are trying some models there, right? So we take the base Fetti protocol. We are deploying it as SACCO because there's a one-to-one match between the SACCO model and the Fetti model. But exactly what the user gets, so we are like, okay, direct access to the Bitcoin versus moving from Kenyan shillings to Bitcoin versus any other product we build, that is now where we are starting and where we're experimenting. So like it's not yet fully defined as in each member gets eCash.
Ah,
Yes.
okay, I didn't understand that. I thought it's similar to the Fetti model.
Not exactly. So
Ah,
we are
that's
trying
interesting.
something, yes.
Okay.
And I can give you examples of what we're trying, right?
Yeah.
So one thing we are trying is we just want the on-ramp part, moving from Kenya shillings to Bitcoin to be super easy, right? So in our interface, we build a way for someone to say, hey, I want 100 Kenya shillings worth of Bitcoin, right? So we go pull that money from mobile money, and on the other side, we allocate them the eCash. Yes, so that is our earliest, that's on-ramp, right? Meaning they have an eCash account, right? But we are in the early stages of figuring out how much exposure or training we need to give to the eventual user on like eCash, because eCash is a very powerful tool. You can literally print it and hold it. So that's one example. Another one is we do group savings. So for the first time, we're trying group savings. So this is a smaller group than the SACCO itself. There's a larger community, but there's a group. We call this chamas, right? So a chama has an eCash account inside BITSACCO.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So you basically have the BITSACCO hold the multisig,
Yes.
the guardians hold the Bitcoin in the whole SACCO.
Yes.
And then you have chamas,
Which is
and they
small.
are they then decentralized? So they don't have their own guardians.
No, they
It's
don't.
the one guardians for everything.
Yes, yes. So that is exactly what we have today. But within a chama, so now we are building things like, hey, these 3 members of the chama are like, helping the other members of the chama know, learn, and use that the interface. Yeah.
Very interesting. And what's your time scale plan? Like, is it usable already or
We are in pilot.
in pilot?
We are launching in 9 days at
Aha,
the
yeah,
Africa
okay,
Bitcoin
cool.
Conference. Yes.
And did you build your own wallet? Or how?
Yes, we have a web wallet right now, which is BITSACCO. It is KYC, meaning by law, we need to have the user's information as they're coming in. That is for our compliance on the other side. But underneath, we are deploying fully on Fetti. Yeah.
So, do I understand correctly? Is it only to hold Bitcoin at the moment? Or can people also use the eCash in the BITSACCO to pay each other or someone else?
They can.
They can?
Yeah, they can. They can even withdraw it back to Lightning as
Right.
Bitcoin. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. In the future, everyone will be having a BITSACCO wallet?
So every single member of BITSACCO, they get a personal wallet. So that is eCash. That is only for them,
Yes.
right? They can be part of a chama, which is they join a group wallet within BITSACCO. We have other products lined up in future. Yeah. For example,
Interesting.
one thing that is very popular here, in fact, it's almost synonymous to SACCOs, is SACCOs do lending. That is, we want to eventually figure out how to do that.
To do lending
Yes.
on Bitcoin.
On
Oh,
Bitcoin.
That's also interesting. And a little bit, not dangerous, but with the value going up and down,
Yeah. That's why it's so interesting.
Yeah.
But also that's why we are not starting off from the
Yeah.
day one with
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Okay, so that's very interesting. And it will be in Kenya only, or do you have plans to expand? But then the SACCOs is not an instrument in other countries, or?
It is an instrument in other countries. It might have different names. But I love this question because the way I want to think of it is from protocol or framework perspective, like that background. So at BITSACCO is open source, right?
Yeah.
You can, and the idea is build a template for someone to then go deploy a BITSACCO-like instrument in Uganda, in Zimbabwe, somewhere else, right? So we're building the framework, we're building that template. It's available for anyone to go deploy. The only thing they would then need to figure out is the regulatory framework in their country. Yeah. Our first instance is Kenya only. That is the first instance we're deploying.
And are you in any way scared because you have to KYC people that the government might shut you down or surveil people and the Bitcoin? What's your thoughts on that?
I think we are at risk. The singular instance that is BITSACCO in Kenya obviously is at risk from the regulatory capture of the country. But the goal, one of our defined goals, is to be a bridge where people get familiar with Bitcoin, people can move into Bitcoin and then easily move off to more secure stuff or more.
Okay,
Yes.
so it's an entry on an entry
Yes.
level. You can then go into self-custody
Yes.
or things like that. Ah,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I see.
So like do that, do it really well, have people have comfort, have people have trust in Bitcoin.
And you also have the e-cash payments, which are private anyways.
Yes.
Which is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. So if you had to move, you can even move in a more private way out. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jodom.
All right.
I'm looking forward to the launch in 9 days.
In 9 days.
And
yeah.
so I can't use it because I can't KYC here, right?
Yes.
Or will you do a demo?
We will do a demo.
Great.
Yes.
Okay.
So we are still in an environment of where you can try it.
Super.
Yeah.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Nice.
Hello, my name is Anita Posch, and if you liked that video, please subscribe to my channel now to inspire me to create more content like this. And if you want to learn more about Bitcoin, then sign up for my free weekly Bitcoin newsletter at anita.link/news.